Welcome to Heath Riles Barbecue. On today's episode of Shooting the Q, first off, before I tell you how we're going to get started, we're shooting on our new outdoor kitchen that we're almost finished with here at home. We only like a few more steps, and we're going to show you the whole thing. But on today's episode, we're going to be cooking Cheshire Farms pork loin. Let's get started. Now that I've got my pork loin removed out of the package, the only thing I want to do, any loose meat like this hanging, I cut it off. But I'm really not concerned about the little bit of fat cap and the silver skin on this pork tenderloin, just because it's good old pork tenderloin eating at home. I'm not trying to cook it for a judge or anything like that. You're more than welcome to trim that sinew and a little bit of extra fat away. But me filling it, it don't have a lot of fat on it. I'm going to use it as a barrier on this loin. But what I'm going to do is cut this thing in half. I don't want it to take me 3 hours on my Traeger to cook. So what I'm gonna do is cut it in half, and you can see that's not a lot of fat. And so all I'm gonna do on this fat, I'm gonna gently just kind of score it right here. Just cut some lines in it, kind of diagonal. So remember, the first thing I wanna do once I get this scored is use a little bit of mustard. Now you just want a little bit for a binder. You can use olive oil, you can use spray, you can use anything you want. It don't matter, you don't have to use anything if you don't want to. Now, once I get that started, I'm gonna grab my pizza rub first and layer it on. Now, while I've got these turned over here, I'm gonna go ahead and season with my honey chipotle before I flip them. Now, the way the wind's blowing, I'm using my hand as a barrier here to kind of catch some of that rub. You can see I'm not just doing a whole lot, but just enough to pat it in to give it a little bit of that flavor fusion, what we're wanting. And basically, once you get this seasoned, you can choose to let it set out and get ambient and come up to room temperature if you want, or you can go ahead and get it on your pit. That little bit of cold meat on there taking on that smoke, it's a really gentle smoke. That's all I'm looking for with the cherry pellets. Now, once I do this with the mustard, you just got to kind of bat it in just a little bit. It soaks it up really nice and easy. You can see it's not caked up. So let's go ahead, since my hand is dirty, get these on the Traeger, get them on. They probably shouldn't cook but about an hour or a little over. I'm gonna stick a chef's alarm in them. I'm gonna pull them about 140 degrees and let them rest. Let's get them on. All right, now that our pork loin have sweated in about 5 minutes, I had to get my chef's alarm. I'm actually using a dot today. My chef's alarm, the battery's dead in it. So I'm gonna use my dot today. I'm gonna set it in at 140 in the center of that loin and pull them so they'll be perfect. So let's get them on. Our pork loins have been on for about an hour. They're setting at about 120 degrees. I'm gonna show you the color it's got on them, and I'm gonna go ahead and get me some of my sweet barbecue sauce on them and start letting them tack up. Now, a telltale sign that your pork tenderloin is getting done, you can see where I probed it with my thermopin too. Some of the white and junction stuff moves out of it, and you can tell that it's getting done cooking from inside out. So we checked it, and both of them is around 120. So now I wanna start getting some glazes on it. Kind of slide everything around. Now, when you get a spot like this right here, that some of that, the kind of the white stuff comes out of the loin, how it's doing, some of the juices produce that little bit of white, milky substance. It's just cooking like that. And so what I do is, once I get my glaze on it, I'm gonna come back with a little bit more dry rub to form kind of a bark. So I want to take some of my honey chipotle rub and use right on top of that little spot like that, and kind of let it set in on top of this sauce, get my color back. And that's gonna be a little bit of a flavor pop too, and I'm gonna leave these loins alone and just let them finish out the last 20 degrees on the grill, sauced up with that. All right, let's let them finish probably like about another 30 minutes. All right, we're back. Our pork loin is off the grill. Just to recap, we started off with a whole Cheshire Farms pork loin out of North Carolina. I cut it in half. I took half this loin, took both of them actually, coated them down in my pizza rub and my honey chipotle. They've got a little bit of a sweet kick to them. I then glazed them with my sweet barbecue sauce. Like I said, cooked them to 140 degrees on the Traeger, pulled them, let them rest for about 20 minutes. As you can see, it's glazed up, it's beautiful. It's time to slice this thing. Let's get in here on it. Now, I did put on some heat gloves underneath my plastic gloves here just to protect my hands, because when I took this off, I didn't have heat gloves on, and I'm gonna tell you, it burnt my fingertips. Now, I want you to look at the moisture in this pork loin from Cheshire Farms, and this is gonna be on the roast end of that loin. You can see it's got a little bit darker meat here. And I'm cutting them, of course, thicker than probably most would. A little bit thicker than a pencil. I like to taste my pork on a sandwich. When I get this thing sliced out here, you're gonna see just how nice it is. Look at that juice running out of that thing. Now that we've got our pork loin all sliced up here, it's rested. You can see the juice is pouring out of it. Now I'm gonna pick up one of these right here, and you can see that the moisture in that pork loin is incredible. Look at that, just pure deep moisture. I'm gonna take my knife here, and I'm gonna cut that down and get a little bite out of here. Whoop. The moisture that this pork loin has is incredible. The key to pork loins is cooking them to where you don't dry them out. You can slice this right here, and I know that it's still gonna be moist tomorrow when I eat it after I put it in the fridge in a Ziploc bowl or something to hold that moisture in there. It's always good. It's an easy, simple meal to feed everybody. So remember, try it at your next cookout or party or backyard barbecue. I know that it'll be a hit. If you like what we're doing on our channel, be sure to like, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and of course TikTok now at Heath Riles BBQ. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.